Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to give you that little preface, but the deconstruction trainings are not coming to an end. If anything, they're just getting stronger across all of our municipalities, and it's really awesome to see. We've been having conversations with the PNW. I've been heavily talking with City of San Antonio for the 2026 training. We are looking at Atlanta. There's so much opportunity for all of us to really push this deconstruction incentive and get more people to rock and roll. So I was asked to talk to you all about deconstruction training and what that can look like. And for us, or for me, what I've been doing for the past 5 years is a lot of hands-on education. The first year that the city of San Antonio hired us to train, they did go through and kind of evaluate the different people um, who were interested in taking the training. So the very first one, we prioritized different contractors and individuals who had a good amount of tool use and tool understanding. And usually, even now, we do that for the first week of our trainings, and then the second week can be a little bit more fluid as far as tool knowledge capacities. And I think I like to mix them like that. I don't think you have to do a top tier like contractor demo or deconstruction only training. I do think sometimes it would behoove us if we already had people who were in the industry, who are contractors, demolition, which is a dirty word, but we need to, make our enemies our friends. Um, and then I had another one, builders. A lot of times when it comes to reutilizing the materials, it's really important to get the buy-in of the people who are going to be working with them, because I know it's really easy for a new build to come in, and if they only work with modern materials, forcing historic, non-nominal dimensions can sometimes be a pain, and it makes it really easy for people to lose interest and just say, no, thanks. We like the new Home Depot studs that are all crooked. Um, like, sorry, Beth, you laughed very hard at that. But anyway, so making sure that we're bringing in the wider community of people who interact with structures into our deconstruction trainings, I think is more productive than just isolating it to people who already know how to use tools and are already very much in the know of how to repair historic structures, how to restore them, and I guess I don't mean to leave out new builds or like younger structures. It's just it hasn't been the priority of Repurpose Savannah for the past 6 years. So we mainly focus on structures that are 60 years or older. No, so I think not to say that you can't do modern structures. I know Perks Deconstruction is pretty badass when it comes to all structures. I follow you guys very closely on the Instagram. Um, but yeah, so I'm trying to think what my presentation looked like when I did it. But making sure that everybody is buying into it. And then also, I mean, it's really cool when you have a lot of community buy-in, but even better is when you have municipal buy-in or state or federal or, you know, I don't know how many of us here are all in part of nonprofits versus for profits, but there definitely can be a shift between what a nonprofit can do versus a for profit. However, if they work together for deconstruction trainings, I think it can be really beneficial. And I've seen that work that way or work out very well multiple times. Um, I know that we were saying, or Ali, I think, said more of a question and answer. So I don't know if you guys are open to it, but I'd love questions. I think it's a much more organic conversation, and this is your time, and I'm here to answer your questions. I can answer all my questions all day, but I'm here for you all. So I'd love to see what you all are interested in. So feel free to ask a question, maybe. I don't
Allie told us to embrace the awkward pauses yesterday. So,
Oh,
I will also monitor the chat. So if people
okay.
need to do that, especially since with you being on the phone, as well. Um, I guess one question I have, like you just said, 2 weeks of training. Like what,
Oh,
like That seems like a long time. Like sometimes people are like, how do you commit to that? Is it flexible to have people come in and out? Is it you need to commit to the entire time?
Correct. And I'm sorry, I
Are
should
you
have
doing
specified.
certified? Like, are you, I think San Antonio is maybe moving to like certified contractors. I don't like, can you maybe explain what
Yeah.
that kind of looks like?
No, absolutely. And I should have specified. When I say 2 weeks of training, we're down there sometimes for 2 to 3 weeks, but each cohort is only 5 days. It's a 40-hour training. So when the trainees sign up, they're signing up for one Monday through Friday course. And in San Antonio versus some of the other trainings, all 40 hours within like reason are mandated. If you want the certification. And there's still a little bit of like subjectivity to it because if you're on site and you're just on your phone the whole day, then I'm like, I don't know what you learned. Versus if they're there and they're checking off all of the tool usage practicalities and or did you can you identify a rafter, a joist, a stud, floorboards, and then how to remove each one of those items in different manners. Then you get it certified. I'm not sure if San Antonio is going to just wait, you mean only certified contractors can take the training? Was that your question, Emily? Or your statement?
Oh, it could have been any of that.
Okay.
So
Well,
like, I think maybe there was some trainings for interested like public members. I think maybe I heard that at one
yes.
point.
So in those trainings, I've had a very wide variety of individuals. So I've had real estate agents, I've had sustainability professors alongside people who own their own contracting business and demolition companies as well. And I will say I like the variability in tool understanding and tool competencies because I'm there to teach you how to use them correctly. Like, don't flip your Sawzall blade over. I know that's a big thing. Boy, like a lot of people like to do that, and it's like the bane of my existence. But if people already know how to use tools, a lot of times they also become, you know, helpers as far as learning how to or teaching people how to use tools. And so then it creates many teachers and or they learn something because now they have to stop, think, and then teach it. And they'll come to me and ask for questions or different ideas of how to use a tool or how to use it more efficiently in form of deconstruction where we're salvaging the majority of our materials versus just straight demo where I'm like, I'll just give you a sledgehammer and expect not to get any materials back. So different things.
Why do the contractors want to get certified? Like,
In
what is driving that?
in different municipalities, sometimes like if there's an ordinance and if you want to pull a demo permit, but you have to be certified by a certified deconstruction company, um, then you by default have to take it, right?
Right.
Otherwise, I think with the push of sustainability, but also with material loss really coming, well, it's more openly spoken about, I think. I hear about it more outside of our industry more and more rather than when, most of us just talked about it within our industry buds. So I always say this, the more people who know how to deconstruct buildings, the less we lose. And so, I think municipalities are really starting to see that we need to stop throwing our materials into the landfills and things like that. And I would maybe like to point out that with different, um, sorry, my brain just stopped working. What did we just impose on materials coming in and out of the country? Say it. Someone say it.
Tariffs.
Tariff.
Tariffs, thank you. So different materials can be subject to tariffs, but also during COVID, like that's a good example of material lines, like things how they get to you. Home Depot
Supply
was,
chain.
thank you, supply chains. I know I'm really smart, guys. It's just not
She
today.
is. It's like you had a car accident today.
Yeah, that was a really fun like 5:30 a.m. experience. But I was just going to say both tariffs and kinks in your supply chains really negatively impact, obviously, building materials. That's a big one. I mean, Home Depot during COVID, a sheet of plywood was going for like $120 in Savannah. And we were like, here, we have them. Please take them. Take them. Our supply chains were never hit aggressively because all of our materials are hyper local. And so driving people to use hyper local materials versus buying them from, Timbuktu or God knows where, really has been driving people to pay more attention to how they can deconstruct buildings, but also how they can salvage the materials from structures that are being demolished or otherwise would be demolished. Thanks for asking that. Someone raise a hand. Ryan?
Hi, Katie. I'm wondering if you could share with us a bit of your background and how you got into deconstruction and then how you got into deconstruction training.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, sorry, something popped up and I was reading it. How did I get started in deconstruction? So I grew up out in Montana and Washington State, and my parents restored historic structures. And by default, that meant I had to work on historic structures if I wanted play money or to go hang out with my friends. That was the deal. But I mean, in retrospect, it turned out to be one of my most fantastic memories and something I really hold near and dear as time I got to spend with my parents in learning. But so I've done that since I was little. There are photos of me helping my dad since I was like 4 years old. Um, and then this is just a funny story. One time I got a tattoo and didn't tell my parents. And when my dad found out, we had to go remove plaster and lath out of a room because he was very cranky. So I learned how to do plaster removal without breaking the lath on that day. And then we used all the lath and built my mom some really cute bookshelves and things like that. And then I went to Savannah, Georgia. I moved down here about 8 years ago for my master's degree in architecture history, where I got sucked into repurpose Savannah and all of the great things and great people that were here. And so I did that. And for a long time, I taught people history and public history. And I like to teach and I like to talk to large groups. So I'm kind of a weirdo like that. And Stephanie Phillips asked if we would come do a deconstruction training. And so May Boley and I packed up our things and went to San Antonio for 3 weeks. And we just kind of fell in love with it. And after that, it became something that I really love to do. And so I think that's just carried us through. And now different municipalities reach out to us to do deconstruction training. So I hope you enjoyed that very long, rambling answer.
I did, thank you.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna ask Taylor's question in the chat for her. So the chat question is, when certification is optional and not required by ordinance, are there certification incentives that cities can provide that seem more effective and worth it to folks?
I would say I'm not familiar with every municipality and their incentives, but I would say it's a great question. I don't have a great answer as far as like what different municipalities are doing to make it worth it. I know that one thing Savannah has is repurpose as a salvage entity. They do offer tax deductible receipts for the material value. Usually we have more people take us up on that offer when it's a full structure deconstruction project, just because the value is so much higher than, donating a door. Not to discredit doors. Like, we love them. They give us privacy. But a full structure will have a higher monetary value. So unfortunately, I think a lot of the answers to these questions are money. Even though I have a feeling we're not all in it for the money, but we have to make it make sense for the wider community. And unfortunately, people understand money and money speaks.
Brian?
Yeah, I heard you say earlier, municipals being behind it. I'm assuming you're talking about universal waste ordinances or, like literal requirements for construction material recycling. sign on my right shoulder says "Waste No More Denver" on the wall. It's from a universal ordinance we passed here in Denver, Colorado. But I'm wondering, because it's been a discussion amongst our group over, in the past. What do you have ordinance, like community ordinances, municipal ordinances, that you have favored, that you found as you've seen them over the years?
That I have favored.
Yeah. Have you seen any one ordinance better than another?
Well, I haven't seen one that is better than another. Like they all have their kinks and they're all like so unique to the community. I know of a bad example that we've seen, and that was Milwaukee, and that was only I think from, I wasn't a professional at that state when that one passed, because I think I was like 7. But I was just gonna say, whenever you see an ordinance copy and paste without doing a lot of the community work prior to, that's when you see issues arise. But I have seen the city of San Antonio, that's the most recent one that I'm familiar with, and it's maybe 4 years old. That one seems to be really successful, but also because if you want to pull a demo permit, you have to take a deconstruction training. So like they created the demand and then they had to supply the city with the deconstruction lists. Portland obviously is the oldest one to date, right? I think that they are 40 years old right now. And they have a multitude of deconstruction companies out there. Meticulous Deconstruction, shout out, one of my favorites. And who I've worked with before. They're phenomenal. I'm trying to think of other ones that I'm really familiar with, but those are the two. I know that the city of Savannah is very slowly working on a deconstruction ordinance, but the background lift is quite heavy.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, so I have 2 questions. The first one is for a municipality, the perspective, if you go to a city for a training, what would be like the best audience to reach? Is it city staff or contractors in the area, or a mix? And if you have an example of when the city hired you for a training.
Will you just say the very first part of it again?
Yeah, so I work for a city, so I'm interested in like offering trainings.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm wondering, is it like better to like who to invite to this training? Is it just an open call to whoever is in that industry, or city staff specifically?
Well, for the training itself, versus like the thought behind it, once you get to a training, I think it's incredibly important to invite like city council members, or like we've invited mayors to them, just to see what their community are doing as far as pushing the deconstruction agenda, to make sure that we're throwing less in our landfill and the city is ultimately paying less, or the county is paying less to landfill materials. But once you get to the training, I mean, I would probably suggest you send the people who are going to be doing the deconstruction work and the salvage. Like, it's not just one. We have to have both, because if we just have deconstruction and we have really nice organized piles, now you just have a very nice organized landfill above ground, right? Unless we have people using those materials and learning how to denail, how to cull out the damaged sections to, of a 9-foot board, so you still have a 7-foot board instead of, no board. So that's what I would do. But if you're asking like who to include when you're trying to establish a training and, get your community buy-in, city council is great, but it's really busy. So like I would work behind the scenes and then present it to them. I've seen that work really well. For instance, Savannah, we have quite a few alder people. And so we have been working with them to see, if we could go to community meetings and chat, because we can, as soon as you tell your community that you have to deconstruct, it's a new thing. People don't always know what that means. So sometimes you get a lot of pushback because it's just education. Like if we educate people on what it can be and what it is, it's easier to get more people interested and actually like present for those conversations.
Yeah, thank you. And what about like city-owned properties if they're going through a remodel? Do you have experience in training project managers from the city
I
to
don't,
include
not
the
yet,
deconstruction?
not yet, but keyword being yet.
Right. Yeah. And any advice on providing that end market? We don't have a salvage location locally, so
Mhm.
how do you have an advice on how to start a
I think,
storage?
well, maybe you have to have someone who has, you know, the capital and the land, the space that you can put things in, right? And that can look drastically different from site to site and salvage company to salvage company. But grassroots is never a bad way to start. Word of mouth, getting people just to be using the materials means more than making people like pay an arm and a leg for using the material. So um, I mean, I have a lot of people stop by. We don't salvage as many windows. Like, we can't keep as many windows when I was at Repurpose because they were the hardest thing to sell. The big window companies, they're winning that battle at this moment. So people don't want to reinstall historic windows because they're not, you know, they're not efficient. They don't keep your house warm or cold. When they do, you just have to maintain them. So sometimes we'll set them fully in their casings on the side of the job site and they will go away. Like they walk off, which is really lovely. So there's a balance, right, of what you can salvage and what you can really um, sell, but like posting on Instagram and really making a sales case for some items versus some that, I mean, I think at Repurpose, when I stepped away, we had over 600 single pane windows just sitting there.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks. I have a question, like as a municipality as well, like what do we need to provide you to have a successful training? Is it like just like do we need to identify a home that is coming down? How do schedules align? Like how does the logistics of this work? Like, or is it like I don't know. Like I'm assuming it's
So,
not just classroom training.
No, we do it
Hands-on
top,
is.
top
So
to
if you
bottom.
could, how does like San Antonio like figure out when and how and
Yeah.
identifying those homes and things like that, or
Well,
other cities as well, I guess.
no, you're totally fine. So the ones that I've done both in Atlanta, Conway, Columbia, like with the USC and San Antonio, and then a few little projects. We've done, they do look to see what projects people are, what demo applications are being presented, and usually like the ideal cream of the crop for a project, for a 1 week project, is a structure that's about 1,200 square feet. Like that's ideal if you can hit like 9 to 12. So then what's happened that I've seen other municipalities do is once they choose a structure, they'll reach out to the owners and they'll offer to deconstruct that structure for $0. So the client, that if their project is, you know, uh, if that's the one that the city chooses to go with, the city will work with that client and they'll get rights of access or rights of entry. The city will do all of the permitting, everything that goes with it. They'll cut all of the utility lines and everything. And so then if that client, I mean, usually a demo permit, at least in Savannah, it takes a few weeks, at least like 3 to 4 on a really good day. So then by default, that client just, if they want a free project, then they're subject to whatever the timeline's going to be. And I have yet to have a client say no to that.
I feel like
So
we'd have to have like a lottery or application system be like, if you are considering this and you're 1,200 square feet or less, like apply for this and
Yeah.
we'll choose the one that aligns best or something.
I've done a 12, like ideally, if you'd like to do a residential structure, that's what most people demolish on a large scale most often. So if you could do like a residential structure is ideal. But I've also done old barns as trainings. They're great, but then we do have to find two projects because barns don't have electrical. They usually don't have plumbing. They don't have a lot of the utilities and just different materials that are really important for people to learn because I mean we focus on structural materials and lumber. However, every outlet is, I mean, assuming it didn't burn or you don't have a short or a live ground, is totally reusable. Maybe not on like a brand new project, I don't know, but people are looking for electrical boxes or housing boxes. Switch covers, like they're $1.20 a pop, but if you upcycle them or rehome some from a different salvage project, they could be 10 cents. There's so many things.
So many possibilities. It
There
sounds
are.
like you focus on residential. Like, do you do commercial deconstruction? Is that
Yes.
at least does cover Boulder? And I'm assuming that would have to be two separate trainings. Or
You might
maybe
want
I'm
it to
not.
be two separate trainings. Commercial is definitely a heavier lift because those structures are usually larger. But my last big project was a 19,000 square foot commercial structure in downtown Savannah, and it was a portion of it was all timber framed, like 1880 timber frame, and then the other section was its own self-supporting masonry structure, and that was a 3-story structure. So it was a bear, but I will say like to fully deconstruct that one top to bottom, that took roughly 6 months. It was a very large site and we were able to salvage, I think, 5 semi loads of bricks from that one project. And that's not even including the lumber. So in order to do a commercial structure training, I don't know what that would look like. Versus like a modern construction or modern commercial structure versus a historic commercial structure. I've only ever focus in historic commercial structures. So, I mean, who deconstructed that hospital? Because that might be the people we'd have to talk to for a modern commercial structure.
Well, I was on site for a lot of
Exactly.
it, but it was
It's
our
like,
structural engineer.
cool.
They were the ones who really put together how do we take apart and approach that. So they had the monitors, the video cameras, make sure the twisting wasn't happening, that they kept us all safe.
I love that. So they might be your commercial deconstruction contact, and I sit really pretty with
Our
residential.
GC was also very, very good at that as well.
It was a really cool project to like hear about and study and
Yeah.
see. Any other questions?
I am not seeing any hands pop up. Katie, would you be able to put your email in
Oh yeah.
the chat, especially since I think I have your repurpose
Yes, I can do that. I'm gonna give you my
current one.
now. I'm teaching historic preservation at Savannah Technical College at the moment. So I'll give you that one.
Okay. That way everybody has the opportunity to get a hold of you if they have questions. And I'll just throw out there again, like Build Reuse has, I think, a list of deconstruction trainers on their website. I really want to appreciate, Katie, you being willing to share the work that you guys have done and your knowledge as well. So I think there's just so much that we can bring to Colorado in terms of workforce development and making sure that our contractors all over the state understand like what the requirements are, how to see value in our buildings. And I think training's something I would love to see more municipalities do. Like we haven't even done it in Boulder. We're like one of the first communities in Colorado to do this, and we were talking about how to make this happen. So, and I know I'm speaking for Taylor in that moment, but yeah. So thank you so much. And I'm also jealous of how much light you have at like 5:30 at night because it's pretty
Thanks.
dark
I
here.
wasn't going to tell you all that I thought today was cold because it was like 62.
We've had like the weirdest winter, and it's like I think 58 or something like that here. So at least in the Denver area. All right. Well, thanks. If you want to stay on, you are welcome to, but you're also at a work site, so you might
No,
need.
that's okay. I'm gonna bounce out, but you all have a great evening and it was lovely. So thank you for the invite. You all are truly inspiring. So, all
Thank you.
right. Bye, y'all.
Do you guys want me to stop recording or keep going?
I think you can stop recording.
Yeah.
Okay.